Thank you very much, Warren, for that introduction. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, both in the studio and over 100 participants joining us via Zoom. Presidents, you have had an amazing 2 days of knowledge sharing on Rotary. At this moment, I just want to take a step back and tell you about the first part of my topic. Leadership is an art. This is something I believe you have all mastered, and this is why you have been elected and entrusted by your members to lead them in the coming Rotary year. But I believe there is a secret weapon that we have not unlocked to help you take your leadership to the next level. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is data. Now, don't be afraid of this word. It might sound big, it might sound heavy, it might sound technical. But do you know, ladies and gentlemen, you already use data every day to lead different portions of your life. For example, the data on a price tag of an item is a way that leads your purchase. If you have investments or savings accounts, you use those data to lead whether you're making profits or not. And the single most used data today, the number of COVID-19 cases, that leads whether we have freedom or restricted. So, ladies and gentlemen, you already use data. All I'm saying is, how do we apply this to Rotary? The reason why I'm saying this is important, ladies and gentlemen, is because without data, you are just another person with an opinion. Having solid data makes your thoughts a lot more objective, and the chances of these ideas being accepted becomes a lot more higher. So, why do we need to talk about data today? If you ask people about the two schools of thought in leadership, they would say two things. One, leadership is probably an art. It's very subjective. Some people are born with it, some people are not. It comes down to mere intuition. There is another school of thought that says leadership is perhaps a science. This means that you lead through information that's available, things like data, information, technology, and such. But I want to say today that real leadership is a combination of two items, art and science. It is both how you lead your clubs and what resources do you use to do this that makes you a real leader today. So, with that, what is in store for us over the next 30 minutes as you listen to my presentation? There are two key takeaways I would like each and every president-elect today to remember from this presentation. Data, what data you have available and how do you use it? And platforms, the kinds of platforms that are available for you today, and once again, how you can utilize this in this new norm. So, two key takeaways, ladies and gentlemen, that I think are going to help you accelerate your leadership level in your upcoming Rotary year. With that, let's move on. Let's talk about why this is important. Why is this topic being introduced at Pre-PACS? What has changed? Ladies and gentlemen, everything has changed. Take a look at the past 10 years. The world's biggest organizations have changed. We never thought these names would determine the global economy. Over the past 10 years, big names have dropped off the top 10 list, and new names are being introduced today. Over the past 10 years, some of the world's richest and most powerful people have changed. The gentleman in the middle, 10 years ago, was a Harvard dropout. That's all they would call him. Today, he's the CEO of one of the most powerful companies in the world. This is what data has done. And I guarantee you, it's going to change the way Rotary works as an organization. So, ladies and gentlemen, the world's most valuable resource is no longer oil. It is data. So it is up to us to empower ourselves to harness the power of data and grow as leaders in Rotary. But you may ask, with all this global economy changing and organizations changing, does it really have an impact to service organizations? Ladies and gentlemen, we are not the first service organization to talk about data, but let us not be the last as well. Organizations like Habitat for Humanity are already using data to structure how they do microfunding. The loans that they use to build house are all determined by the data that's available to them. Operation Red Alert is a service organization out of Bangalore that is working towards eliminating sex trafficking. This organization, once again, builds heavy projects circular around data. One organization that should be familiar to everyone, the Salvation Army. And the way they do fundraising is very, very targeted by the types of data that's available to them. So I repeat once again, we're not the first service organization to try and use data for our benefit, but let us not be the last. Moving on to that, if I talked all about data and you need data, your next question may be, yes, Ash, I agree, but where can I find this? Ladies and gentlemen, our platform, Rotary Club Central, that you can access through My Rotary, has all the data that you're going to need. It is already available, yet we need to ask the question, is it being fully utilized by our members? Us in District 3300, have we fully taken advantage of the platform that's available to us today? If you go into it, you will understand that there are 4 key areas the information and data in Rotary Club Central can really help. And we've talked about all 4 of these areas over the past 2 days. So if you still have questions, how do I build my strategy around these areas? Understand that there is already information available that can help you and guide you in building your strategy in the incoming Rotary year. The 4 key areas that is impacted by the data available to us: membership, fundraising, projects, and public image. As I said, we've covered all these sessions over the 2 days, and later on, you're going to learn about strategic planning. That encompasses your plans for each of these areas. Hence, my session today is bridging that gap and telling you there's already information out there. It's how we seek it out and how we use it that's going to determine the success of our strategic plans in these areas. There are 3 scenarios that you may face, and ladies and gentlemen, we need to achieve the first one. You will have amazing data from certain clubs. These are clubs who have 100% of people registered on My Rotary and 100% of their Rotary activities put into the system. Every time they have new members, they are inputting it. Every time they do projects, they are specifying how many man hours they have spent. Every time they give and they do fundraising, they put in that exact dollar amount. And that is what I call amazing data, because it not only gives us the power to understand what's going on in our district, it tells Rotary International that District 3300 is doing something. We are proving our worth to society. You may also have what I call suspicious data. Things that may seem out of place. Things that may have just been inputted but may not be true. In that case, I urge you, presidents, because you have the power to do this, go back to your club and try to recorrect this. Try to make the data as correct as possible. And last but not least, I hope clubs are not in this area in which they have no data at all. This is bad because we are doing, and I believe all clubs are active in this sense, but we are doing a lot, but we're just not telling people about it. We're not telling RI what our activities are, and therefore RI cannot tell the public its full impact to the globe. So ladies and gentlemen, I would like to make a small suggestion. What about if we take 5 minutes before each club meeting and ensure that our Rotary Club Central is updated? Just a mere 5 minutes. In this sense, I believe, not very long from now, 100% of our clubs would reach to what I like to term amazing data. It's as simple as that. 5 minutes before you start, ensure that the projects you have done have been inputted there. Ensure if you've given goods or cash giving, just put it inside Rotary Club Central. Imagine the power if we all did that. This will be great for everyone involved. Moving on, what are the things we can actually see? Why do I say this data is important? I want to go back to the very first opening session in which we heard the word change makers. Yes, we can make change, but are we measuring the change we have done? The way to measure it, I believe strongly, lies in Rotary Club Central. If we are making change but not reporting it, we are not measuring the change we are making. How will we know if we are getting towards our membership goal if we are not updated? The global statistics is how we can say, along the year, how much closer or further are we from the RI set target? How much closer are we in gender trends? Are we getting closer to more female members? Once again, if you do not report this in your clubs, we will not know if we are getting closer to our goal. Globally, we can talk about age as well. Are we out-aging? Are we bringing constant new members in the club to ensure our continuity? These are all different things that you can see. Even if you are a new member and you're taking on the role as president, having good data at a club level can tell you about the past performance of your club. It can give you that historical view into what your club has done in the past. It is one of the easiest way, besides talking to some of the members, to see along the lines what has worked, what hasn't. If there is a sudden spike upwards, you know maybe that something went right that year. Can we try and replicate it? Can we find out what happened in membership, for example, that made a lot of people join your organization or your club that year? Can we replicate that? If you see a downward spike, it means maybe something did not work out. Something went wrong. Can we find out what that was so we do not repeat those mistakes? Right? It's a very famous slogan when it comes to data that says, what gets measured gets managed. As long as we are measuring things, we can manage it. A lot of the times when we cannot manage problems is because we never measured and never were able to find out exactly what happened. So, ladies and gentlemen, please, I urge you all presidents, you're the only way we're going to achieve this. Make sure your clubs are reporting what you are doing on Rotary Club Central. So we are not only making change, we are measuring change. The second part of my speech and presentation that I mentioned earlier was about platforms. Now, we know about the power of data. We know what we can benefit from it. But do we already know there are a lot of platforms out there which can help us achieve our goals as well? And one of the main problems in the new normal is fundraising. If we're not able to go out there, if we're not able to interact with the public, how are we going to raise funds for the projects we want to run or for the causes we want to give to? Use platforms in what I call socially, but also virtually. And this is the idea behind a term called crowdfunding. Organizations and individuals around the globe have already used crowdfunding for a very long time. I think Rotary has not used this enough, or at least in the district, we have not leveraged this power enough. It is really, really powerful, and I want to show you 3 platforms, presidents, which you can take note of because you can start using it right away. The very first one is by our own organization itself. It's called Raise for Rotary. It is Rotary's very own crowdfunding platform. And you can do anything from large, complex projects that you like to raise funds for, to even very small personal goals that you have. I went on Raise for Rotary, and one of the first things that caught my attention was a member of a US-based club was running a campaign called 40 for 40. He was turning 40, and all he asked his friends to do was donate 40 USD for his giving. He used the power of crowdfunding through Raise for Rotary to support our TRF. And he did this in celebration of his birthday. It was that simple. The campaign, when I saw it, was only up for a week. He had already reached 3,000 US dollars. You see how quick crowdfunding can work in your favor. Next is a platform called Give10. And personally, I want to share a story about Give10 because our district trainer, Garthi, used this platform quite smartly, and the story really touched me. Him and a bunch of ex-Rotractors got together because MCO had taken a hit on one of their friends. Now, financially, he was not in a good position because of the MCO crisis that had impacted his business. So Garthi and his Rotractors decided to set up a campaign on Give10 to help their friend. In 12 days, they were able to give 42,000 to this particular individual. In only 12 days, using Give10, they raised 42,000, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, that friend did pass away last month, but I think if we all got together and did campaigns like this, on platforms like this, you will truly understand the power of social yet virtual. Lastly, Malaysian-based platform, brand new, called Jom Donate. Same concept. So hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, this gives you an idea that whilst we are in this new normal, there are platforms we can take advantage of to run things like fundraising. So the 2 sides of my presentation today. Firstly, understand that data can tell us a lot if we look at the right data and we understand what we're looking for. But this can only happen if all of us input this data to begin with. Secondly, understand that there are still platforms out there that you can use to support your clubs. And presidents, this gives you an idea already on the types of plans you can put in. I just want to end with a very powerful quote using this by the Harvard Business Review. We understand that, look, the world's biggest NGOs can't continue to do business as usual if we are aiming to tackle the world's major social problems, which Rotary is. But by gathering data on what's not working and adapting approaches proven to solve problems. So look to the past and figure out what didn't work, what worked. We can use the power that Rotary has, our long existence and our enormous scale to really innovate and change the way the world is. In a positive light, achieve our mission merely by figuring out what went right before and what's not working. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very much, and I hope this session has been useful for you and you really start adopting some of these processes. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.